All right. Good morning, Zach. It is,
Good morning, J-Mac.
I think there's going to be a time eventually where we're not saying this is episode three and we just kind of are professionals about it, but hey, we're not
I don't think there's
professionals,
ever going to be a time where we're professionals because this is not what we do for a living.
right?
This is what we do for fun. This is our way of organizing the week and staying on task and getting through our to-do list and communicating to centers what's going on in our lives and hopefully helping some centers along the way as well.
There's always some like fodder in entertainment shows and that kind of stuff when people are on the news and whether or not they're wearing proper pants
Oh, that's true.
as much as they're
Yeah,
dressy up top.
right.
So that makes me feel like people are wondering whether or not I have pants on or something like that. Yeah,
I mean, usually you
I
wear
do
that
have
button-up
I
shirt
do
with
have pants on.
sweatpants. I feel
I
like
have I
usually.
have jeans. I don't have like proper uh, slacks, if I may use that term. But
I normally
anyway,
would have shorts on, but unfortunately here in Indiana, the seasons are changing. The leaves are falling. It's raining today. The release of Halo 5 brought some rain to Indiana,
yeah,
which is good. That means everybody should stay inside and play Halo all day.
yeah. So
We
let
should get some of
me
that sweet data from their
talk
API.
talk
Yeah.
just for a second about these graphics that we started doing last week because I didn't really say a whole bunch about them. They were just on there during the stream, but
Oh, the sidebar. Good. I
yeah, the
mean,
sidebar. I thought it was really funny, not necessarily funny, but just kind of looking at these top centers for the week, is that a lot of them are foreign centers. So this week, two in the United Arab Emirates, Spotnet in Lebanon, and Elite Madrid in Spain are all in the top ones. And to me, that's, some of them have league players but the per capita is really just the amount of customers that they have coming into their store. Where PC Gamers is number one, and they've always kind of been number one, no matter what time frame you want to grab. They're a legacy center, but not only do they have a lot of customers, but they also have a lot of game account links, and that's something that we'll talk about later today. But then I'm just going to kind of switch through these graphics today. But
well, also, JMac, you're looking at this week's leaders on the sidebar.
right, uh huh,
Right. So again, also a lot of those, it's as the sun travels around the world as well.
sure.
So, those of us here in the US, most of our centers aren't even open yet. It's not even noon. Whereas over there, in the Middle East and Australia and some of those places, they've been open. Their days are finishing up. So they've had a little bit of a head start, which will be something really cool as we organize the New Year's Eve party to ring in the new year all the way around the world in a big NVIDIA event with ggCircuit. I mean, it's going to be super awesome to watch that timeline move around.
And then in regards to the top players for the week, I'm kind of excited to see. There's one from Game On LAN. Is that one in New York or
Yeah,
in New
that's
Jersey?
Buffalo, I think.
Yeah, they have a number two highest player of the week, and it looks like mostly hourly coins. But Good Game Matrix is number one. Crylinks from Good Game Matrix number one. We talked about him earlier this week. Then one from Golden Gaming and two from PC Gamers. So again, one of those things with not only hourly stuff but also accounts.
Yeah.
So let's get started for today. We wanted to kick off talking a little bit about consoles, which is kind of a complicated issue in LAN centers in general, depending on what your setup is. So the question of the week for LAN centers is how do you manage consoles and console games?
Yeah, and that's been prevalent in some of my consulting this past week, working with a couple different centers. But specifically, Todd is opening a new store up in Nova Scotia in Canada. And what he's got is he's got 12 Xboxes, 12 PlayStations, and 12 PCs, and he's going to open up and really test it out to find out, those gamers in his community. It's the first time they're going to have an opportunity to see what a LAN center is and what they'll gravitate towards. But we were talking about, how do you manage the consoles, both time, how do you maintain the games on them, how do you purchase the games and those sort of things. So it brought up a lot of different questions. I think a lot of centers look at this too, especially as they look at smart launch and other ways that they can control their center as a whole. They want to know what do those products do for them Most of them are glorified timers, which is good and bad. A lot of centers have said, well, I don't want to pay a lot for some software if my center's only going to have consoles in it because it doesn't launch games, it doesn't share licenses and those sort of things. But it is very important to keep very accurate time over your players as they're logged in. So what we do with Smart Launch specifically is gamers come in and they check out games and they check out a controller from us at the front desk. There's a rental feature inside of Smart Launch now that we've not really started using wholeheartedly, but gives you the ability to barcode all of your assets that you hand out to customers, and whether you charge them money or not, you can rent those out to them. It'll assign it to their account. It'll track that product. So you could have 10 copies of the new Halo game on disk. You could give each copy a different barcode number. As you check those out to players, it tracks those being checked out as the player walks out and sets those up. But then you just reach down into the graphical interface, usually right-click or double-click one of the console icons and log in the gamer by their username, and it starts tracking their time. The key for that for us is that we have the notifications pop up when a player runs out of time and is logged out. So that way the gamer doesn't get shut off right in the middle of their game. There's no way to verbally or visually notify the gamer their time's running out in a console. On the PC, your headphone will say 10 minutes remaining, and the player can jump up and run to the front and put some more time on their account if they are in the middle of a game and they want to finish their game. But on the consoles, you don't have that ability. So what we do is a notification pops up to the employee. They can walk out, and it's an upsell opportunity. It's an opportunity for the staff member, if they're good, to say, hey, I know you're finishing your game real quick. Do you want to just, it's $4 an hour. Give me $4. I'll go put another hour on. You can keep playing. I would say 50% of the time it works into another sale. Upgrade them to a day pass, upgrade them to a bigger package of hours, whatever that is. But, there are a couple software packages out there that have some integrated controls. Now, Smart Launch tested some integrated controls with turning on and off powered devices. We've tried that at our eBay stores, and it didn't take long for the gamers to figure out their monitor shut off. Like, as a player, no matter how technically savvy you are, if you're playing a game and your monitor shuts off, you're like, oh, it seems like it's lost power. Well, it's plugged into this weird thing. I'm going to unplug that and plug it directly in the wall. Boom, it's back on. Oh, that must have been it. Meanwhile, the front counter has no idea that player is still playing. They expect the system to have shut off their game. And you don't really want to cut power to one of your devices like an Xbox One or a PlayStation, especially because those run a bunch of download programs in the background even when they're powered off. You never want to cut the power to those. Now, CyberPlanet, which is one that we're becoming familiar with and working with ggCircuit, it's all built in Spanish. I've talked with them. We're working on setting up a time to integrate ggCircuit with CyberPlanet, but CyberPlanet has a device that plugs into their server that has, it looks like a little switch. It looks like a network switch and has little Ethernet plugs, Cat5 plugs that come out of it that you can run anywhere in your building, and another device that plugs in the other end that just passes through HDMI. And so what happens then is, again, you'd have to put this mounted behind under a counter, behind a wall, or somewhere maybe that's not super accessible to customers if they figure out what you're doing. But when their time runs out, then it cuts the HDMI signal to the TV or the monitor, and they then realize that it's no longer accessible. I'd like to see it go a step further, where you feed the entire system with a signal that just says you're out of time. Please go to the front and check it out, and switch the video signal instead of cutting it. So again, it's not like, it doesn't give the player the thought of, oh, my thing stopped working. Let me troubleshoot this problem with my monitor. It really just gives them that exact notification that they're out of time. Now, the fun thing about all that is that, again, it doesn't do a lot of the integration that we see with the computer side. And unfortunately, I don't see that becoming any better in the future, because the consoles are not open from a software standpoint for any of us to develop software on their system.
Right.
So I've seen some centers start to try some things where they broadcast the Xbox through a PC, and then they control the time on the PC that passes the Xbox signal through it. But most gamers are not going to go with that, because there is a delay in that process. So you're not going to have that millisecond response time, that fraction of a millisecond response time that a lot of these high-end players expect when they're clicking a button and they want to see that on the screen. So, those things are, for right or wrong, we are where we're at in the industry. There's some centers that choose to not do consoles because the controls are not there. I know a lot of these mega centers, like in the Middle East, they have 100 plus, 200 plus systems. They've got one staff member at the front that runs everything, that controls everything. They don't want to try to track everything inside their center, so they just choose not to have them. Or they just have like one or two systems on big TVs that are right by the front where the employee can kind of monitor it, in visual distance to them.
Right. I think, I mean, when we get busy, and I'm guilty of it too, of working the front counter and there's a lot of console players, sometimes I don't catch that somebody's time has ran out. And I think, I don't know if there's notifications on Smart Launch or what that could pop up and say, hey, so and so's done with their time. I'm sure there is, but we don't have that setting on. Is that if the store's really busy, a lot of times I may not catch it until 10 or 20 minutes later. Um, and so, if you have a lot of consoles, that's something you really need to train your employee to really pay attention, that either view your Smart Launch log and see that that player's logged out, or keep an eye on the map and know that
Right.
user icon is no longer on that console.
Right, it is definitely a visual thing, and there's two sides to that. If your center's packed and slammed and busy, and you're super busy, then you're getting full, and you're going to start identifying, okay, where's the next open seat available for the next player? Let me go back and look and see who's ran out of time. If you're not busy, it's not it's not a terrible thing for the player to run over a few minutes. And a lot of times what I would do is I'd even go out and say, hey, your time's up. I know you're in the middle of a match, like if they're playing Call of Duty or Halo or something, or Madden or whatever it is. Chances are most matches are 15 to 20 to 30 minutes. It's not like a League of Legends match necessarily where you're in an hour plus match. So you can go out and say, listen, you're out of time. Finish that match. When you're done, bring your stuff back to the front counter. It's a customer service, kind of getting to know them, and they recognize that. Point it out to them, hey, your time's up. But I understand. Go ahead and finish your match. They appreciate that. They appreciate that extra touch. And again, don't ever miss out on the opportunity to interact with your customers. It's a difference between forming that community and forming those relationships with all of them where you can actually talk to them all versus, again, like mega stores that are just worried about numbers. If you're going to go for, I want 1,000 people in my store and I want to charge $1 an hour, that's $1,000 an hour, then you're not worried about it. It's all about efficiency. Most of us, even eBay stores that are 100 to or more stations, most of us are in it for the relationships with the customers, and we get to know almost everybody that comes in there on a regular basis, and even new customers we'll get to know pretty quickly. So, most of us will then want that relationship with those people. Now, I want to touch quickly on, but, the other thing that I want to talk about with consoles is the installation of games, and this is becoming really big on the new systems. So Xbox One and PlayStation are very specific to installing the games on the hard drives before you're able to play them. This is good and bad. The bad part is that as your game library grows, your space runs out, and you've got to figure out how to get more space in there. Your options are external hard drives on the Xbox One. Todd up in Nova Scotia that's just setting up, the lucky weasel. I'll say another word, but this is a family show. He found a deal on 5 terabyte external drives. He's going to have the greatest time ever because he's not going to worry about installation space. We have 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte drives. We move around to try to have enough space on our systems. It ends up being a nightmare keeping up with the games. Players, they sit down and they don't have enough room. They'll delete a game that we have installed on there so they can install or download something of their own. It's a pain. The best part about it is that with digital sharing, you can actually get 2 copies of a game for 1. And I covered this with Todd. It's a very important point I want most centers to realize that it's available, is that both Xbox and PlayStation have the ability to own a digital game. Mark one of your 2 systems as a home station, and everybody on that system can play all the games you own because that's your home box. Then you go to another box and recover that account, and that account can then play all those games as long as it's signed in on that one. So what we've done, for example, the release of Halo 5 last night, we have sections of computer or of Xboxes that have 4 on one side of the island and 4 on the other. One side of the island are the accounts that own the game, and they've been recovered on those boxes. They own that game, and they can all play it. The other side of that island is the home box for those 4 systems, and they can download and play the game because that's the home box for that. So we bought 4 copies of Halo 5, and we have 8 systems that can play it right now in each of our little pods around the store. That's a big savings no matter what kind of sales you get on your games when you go out there. Wholesale costs are $50. You know, you might find a good sale with gift certificates at Toys R Us or somewhere and get your games as cheap as $45 a piece. Buying those disc copies is just not worth it anymore. We're going 100% digital just for that reason. Now, it's super important to have those spreadsheets open and to track which games own what, and to organize your store into different sections. Because again, when you own a digital game, you can't go play it on any system. You can only play it on the system that it's recovered on or the home box for that. So smaller, less popular games like a Madden, for example, we have sections of 4 sports sections in our store now where 2 of the systems own Madden and 2 of the systems are the home boxes for those that own Madden. So there'll be 4 systems that can play Madden. We're not going to install Madden on 32 stations throughout the store. There's going to be 4 systems that own it. It's enough for tournaments or whatever, and then you're just going to be careful as you seat your players. So on a busy Friday night, all of them coming in, they want to play Call of Duty, they want to play Halo. Don't sit them yet on the Madden and the NBA 2K and the NHL and the FIFA boxes. Leave those for last. So if somebody walks in the middle of a busy night and says, I want to play FIFA 16, they can go sit down on the sports systems that are still open up until you're at capacity. Now, again, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what it's been in the past, especially for games like Black Ops 3, which comes out next week. You're probably going to buy as many copies as the number of systems in your center. So literally, like for Todd, he's going to buy 6 copies of Black Ops 3, have 6 of them as the home boxes for those 6 systems, and he'll have 12 copies of Black Ops 3 for the price of 6.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too, and you're talking about kind of like a spreadsheet, but you know, we keep what games are on what boxes in a spreadsheet, but if somebody gets access to the box and deletes them off, it's something that it's almost like a weekly thing. Your employee needs to go take extra time and make sure over the weekend that any games didn't get deleted, and try to spend time, but it's not always, you're not always able to do that.
Right.
You just kind of have to do the best you can, making sure that that spreadsheet stays the same, or when you get really busy, you're going to be running around putting hard drives back on the Xboxes to make sure people can play the games they want. So, you know, it's a tough thing, and
Right.
unless the center has a setup where nobody touches the Xboxes, it's just one of those things you have to deal with.
I
At
mean,
least
even in
for
that
us.
case, it's not going to work because they're going to have the controller in their hand, and you can't put parental controls that allows them access to play online that would prohibit them from deleting and installing games on their own. So,
Yeah.
you know, the one thing too that I want to quickly touch on is that the PlayStation and Xbox are quite a bit different how they digitally install games. You know, the PlayStation, if you want more space, you have to take the hard drive out and put a new hard drive in. They don't have a way to move games from system to system. So the external terabyte or 2 terabyte or 3 terabyte USB 3.0 hard drives you use on an Xbox are great because if something gets uninstalled, you can plug a hard drive into it, move it over to the local drive if you need to, and be done with it. The other bad thing about the PlayStation, and hopefully they'll address this soon, is that they have 2 different files, whether you download the digital game or whether you use the disc for the game. I don't know why. You know, I'm sure there's some sort of technical reason behind the scenes, but if you download Black Ops 3 at home and you play Black Ops 3 at home on your account and you come to a center that has installed Black Ops 3 throughout their center using a disc, you sit down and recover your account. You cannot play that Black Ops 3 copy that was installed with a disc. You can only play the downloaded copy off the internet. So for the PlayStation, for Black Ops 3 tournaments, for example, we have to have 2 installs of Black Ops 3 on every box, one for the digital version and one for the disc version. Even if the players go out there and sit down to play and they own the disc and they put it in, if we've bought all digital copies, their disc that they brought with them will not work with the digital copy we've installed on the PlayStation. It's insane that they built it that way, and I'm sure it's some sort of copyright thing that they're working with. And again, Xbox has always been a little bit ahead of them on some of this digital download, digital content, you know, even just Xbox Live services, online things. Xbox has always been a little bit ahead of them because Xbox has charged for that service for so many years. They've been able to build a better system underneath the hood so far. But PlayStation's getting caught up. But it's going to become a big deal because Black Ops 3 tournaments are mostly going to run on PlayStation this next season.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done. That's it.
Okay, with that, let's move on to the LAN Center growth idea of the week. And this is something that we've kind of I'd say we've been dabbling in it for about the last year,
Dabbling. That's a great word.
and with mostly success, both for us as well as the organization. But that's talking about doing fundraiser events with many different types of groups, whatever groups we can get that are interested in coming into the store. So why don't you elaborate on that a little bit?
Right. This is one of those things that I cover with existing centers, and I cover with new centers as well. Is, again, you whether you've been open 5 years or whether you're just opening, you've got to be out and about in the community and knocking on doors, handing out flyers, and doing some sort of outreach. You can't just sit and hope that everybody talks about your store and brings people in. Now, that happens in our business more than any other business. But just like any other business would not ignore the fact of, getting on those discount cards, handing out flyers, doing mailers, doing door hangers, you have to do those sort of things for your business. Now, we have a unique opportunity that's arisen in the past 6 months at eBash, and we're starting to then take this and run with it a little bit farther and really organize it into a process. But we had the Terre Haute South band, which is here in Terre Haute at our store, come to us and say they'd like to do a fundraiser at our store. And all these other restaurants do this. It's not a new concept in any business industry, but you could go to Chick-fil-A on Thursday night, and 10% of the proceeds at Chick-fil-A are donated back to your school or your band or your Boy Scouts troop or your church youth group. Whatever it is, the organization you're in, they're all trying to raise money. Every organization is trying to raise money, and keep that in mind that they're trying to do new things all the time. What we have, and every LAN center has, is that opportunity to give them something that is not like any other fundraiser they've ever done. So with the band group, what we did is we picked a night, a slow night. We don't do this on Friday or Saturdays when the store is busy. We picked a slow night, and we allowed them to sponsor or host a fundraiser night for the band. It was a Wednesday night, the first one we did. I remember it. It was during the summer. It was 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. Our normal rate is 3 hours for $10, and we just offered to give $5 of that back to their organization. They created flyers. We helped them create a flyer. They handed out flyers to everybody. They talked to all their friends and said, don't forget this Wednesday night, go in and play. And that first night, we had 32 players show up to play as part of that organization. They checked in. They paid their $10. They got to play for 3 hours. At the end of the night, we wrote a check for 32 times $5 back to the organization as part of their fundraiser. And the best part about it is that not that all 32 players were new. I mean, I feel like that it was less than probably 5 or 6 were new, but a lot of them were not regulars. A lot of them were not regulars in the store. And we had a chance to bring them all in on a slow night, generate a little bit of money for us without us discounting prices. The public we didn't offer a $5 for 3 hours price so that everybody thinks we're lowering our prices or that we're running it. It was in direct support of their organization. Now, they ran a second one a few months later and had just about the same results. They had about 26 show up for that night, and they like to do one now every month. Now, I don't know if they do it every month, if it'll maintain the same draw that they have. And so we're trying to limit it right now to organizations only doing this once every few months. But we're taking it to another level now. We're dedicating a staff member at each store, similar to what we're doing with birthday parties. And that staff member will be in charge of a schedule of fundraisers on a calendar that tries to get a fundraiser going every night of the week. There's no reason to not host one of these for whatever organization every night of the week. And again, a lot of people have said, here's some negatives. Okay, what if your normal customers coming in would have dropped 3 hours for $10 normally, and you're just giving up $5 of that back to the organization? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Again, it's in our case, 3 hours for $10, it's a pretty standard product for us. I mean, we have a lot cheaper products, and there's a lot more regulars that play a lot longer than 3 hours that are not going to be interested in that product. If it's a regular that just wants to take advantage of that, I don't feel bad about it at all, because again, we're not giving a discount. We are helping a community organization, and we're helping their numbers grow so that hopefully they raise enough money to do what they want to do, and then they come back and they host more events with us in the future. Yeah. So I really love this concept, and it's really in the infant stage for eBash, but I've started recommending this to a lot of these new centers I'm consulting with and saying, listen, this is a great way to get some marketing done by these organizations for your store that is no cost out of your pocket, no time, that you have to sacrifice to do that. And some of the things you can do to help them is, again, we're developing a flyer that's a template flyer that we can just fill in with the organization's name and then provide that for them. They can print it out. They can hand it out. They don't have to have a Photoshop person on staff to create those flyers. Some of those things that we'll do. And again, we're willing to share a lot of those things with other organizations so that you can have the ability to download it, put your logo on it, use it for your center. I mean, we're probably too open with a lot of the stuff we do in that way, but to this point, until you're opening a game center near me, I'm going to continue to help every game center that I can to make sure our industry succeeds long term.
Yeah, so let's just touch on some of these organizations that LAN centers can reach out to for those that are tuning in for the first time or whatever. But we've done schools, we've done extra.
Well, just stop at the school real quick, because
Okay.
the one I say school, a lot of people just immediately think, okay, we're going to go raise it for Honey Creek Middle School or whatever elementary.
Your alma mater.
The schools themselves have so many internal organizations that are trying to raise money, that you've got to go out and look at. There'll be little clubs for about everything you can think of. I think at my son's high school, there's 87 clubs that are all trying to earn money. And it may be a board game club, it may be drama club, it may be robotics club. A lot of them don't have anything to do with gaming, but it doesn't matter. They're trying to choose between a car wash, Chick-fil-A night,
Selling
or
candy bars.
like the bake sale or whatever. So, within just a school, there's hundreds of different organizations, PTO groups, and all of the different sports teams and bands have parent groups that are booster clubs and things. Like, you could literally probably go a year or 2 years and never leave the school and find enough organizations.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to mention Extra Life, which we work with a lot. I mean, you have an ingrained organization that wants to play video games. Now, not
Right.
all cities have an Extra Life chapter, but for those that don't know anything about Extra Life, you should, especially if you're a LAN center owner, because it's like March of Dimes for video games. You raise money, and there's a yearly event every year, and they do a 24-hour video game event. This is our second year. We're going to be hosting the 24-hour Extra Life event at eBash Indianapolis. And, if reach out to your Extra Life chapter, see if they're interested in coming to your store and doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, every organization has a ton of different sub-organizations besides like big groups like that. So, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the boys clubs and girls clubs, the YMCA groups, churches have all kinds of different levels. A lot of them have, elementary education, they have middle school groups, they have high school groups within that church. And even the church groups themselves might want to have a night there, young adults class, singles class. All of those organizations are always trying to raise money. I mean, you think about it this way. I hate this, but how many times you go to a Walmart or a big convenience store and there's somebody canning out front, with the little cans asking for donations. It's insane how many groups are trying to be creative in how they raise money. And there's no reason why Sunday is questionable, but for sure Monday through Thursday at a LAN center has the one asset we all have that we can not give away, but we can help people use, that is our time.
Yeah.
We're paying the same, whether that's full of 100 people or there's 10 people there. Our costs are almost the same. I want our stores always full. That's my goal, is that I want our stores full of people all the time. So they're fun, they're utilized. It's not just sitting there for 5 or 6 people to use when I have the capacity to have 100 to 200 people in my store.
Yeah, and it's going to help your bottom line on a slow Monday. Like, would you rather get $200 or $100? Whether or not you're providing them discounted time, at the end of the day, it's extra money in your bottom line for that day.
Right. You get extra drink and snack sales because those people are there. They're buying. Their parents going to send them a little bit of money to spend on it. And again, it's not just a capitalistic goal. Like, part of our goal for that is we want to be involved in the community. We want to be a good neighbor. We want to be a good community partner. And an easy way for all of us to help with these organizations is through this fundraiser program. I mean, our new high school and collegiate esports programs that we're launching, we'll talk about this one of the weeks in the show, but those groups, again, it's a high school in Indianapolis, Warren Central High School. 60 kids play League of Legends every Tuesday and Thursday as part of their esports club. They cannot wait. 2 weeks from now, they'll host their fundraiser night at eBash Indianapolis, and they'll bring hundreds of kids from that. It's a huge high school. It's 3,500 people in their high school. They'll bring hundreds of kids. They'll run some NBA 2K16 tournaments and things and give away prizes. They've gone out. They'll raise $300 or $400 for their club on that one night, doing the thing that they love, and there's no problem getting people to show up.
Yeah, that reminded me of something else about Extra Life I wanted to bring up is that each person in Extra Life has to, they don't have to, but they raise money. And we've had a couple occasions during the year that someone who wants to raise money for Extra Life had their own personal event that we agreed, okay, they'll come in and pay $10 for 3 hours, and half will come to eBash and half will go to your people. So there's just all kinds of things. I'm thinking sports leagues, just saying a blanket sports leagues. There's all kinds of different sport league, not just by the sport, but by churches, by AAU, by Lions Club, whatever you want to call it. They're just all over the place.
Tons. And everything's underfunded. I mean, that should be the theme, at least here in America. I don't know how it is in the other countries of the world, but I feel like in America, everything is underfunded. Mm-hmm. They're always trying to find more ways to fund their trip, the team's trip to championship, or the band's trip to Disney World, or their Boy Scout overnight camping weekend. Everybody's trying to raise money for something.
Don't even get me started on charities.
All right, right. So anyway, I think that the fundraising angle is our tip of the week as far as existing and new centers. Go out and really get that started. And again, this tying things week to weekend, if you're in a slow season like it is, it's starting to pick up now for us. But if you're in a slow season, or if you're wondering what you can have your staff members do at the front counter when it's not as busy at the store, it's very easy to give them a template, copy and paste, welcome email, welcome post. Sit down there on the computer, go through Facebook. You're on Facebook anyway. At least make it productive and go through and find 10 churches, find 20 churches. Send them a quick note. Let them know this program's available. You may hit 1 out of every 25, but you're paying your staff member to sit at that counter anyway.
Yeah. Go to meetup.com and see what groups are in your area that might apply to your store.
Right. Exactly. All right. I'm done.
All right.
Cut me off.
ggCircuit Pulse. Center subscriptions is what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so we've got a couple things on the Pulse this week to talk about. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but we'll be sending out emails to everybody in the next few days. And as of November 1st, we're turning on the automated subscription system for centers. And what that means is a lot of them are on PayPal subscriptions. We're actually moving all of that inside, and so we'll bring your subscription from PayPal over and extend your membership in the new system until your due date. But you'll need to have your credit card on file inside. It's very easy. It's under My ggCircuit, and then under Center Subscriptions. You can find that when you log in as a store owner. You're going to need to get that updated. We're getting all of that stuff set up this week, and as of November 1st, you won't show up on leaderboards. Your players won't show up. We'll still track everything, but if your subscription's not active, then you will no longer show up on all of those places, and you'll want to make sure you get that updated before then so you don't drop off the leaderboards. You don't have players complaining about leaderboard stuff. Again, we'll send out an email to everybody. We'll walk everybody through it. I'm going to go through personally and contact most people by the 30th or 31st. If I've not talked to, or if I've not seen you update your subscription, I'm going to try to get a hold of you. We don't want anybody, no one's going to expire or lose coins or lose stats. That stuff will keep running. But we've got a lot of people that we've had on trial accounts that have been waiting on different things that we need to move into paying subscriptions. So that's what I wanted to make sure everybody understands for this week. That's coming down the pipe. Second item is fall season recap. You want to just, I don't want to touch too much on that because next week we're going to really make some to-do about it, because I know Overzone can't wait to, see the fireworks go off, and we congratulate them. But I do want to address that the season ended yesterday. We're compiling everything this week, and we'll talk about it more next week.
Yeah, it's on the graphic here, just kind of the final standings of the fall season, and I'm gonna butcher it, but Overzone is in Peru, correct, or Brazil?
Overzone is Brazil.
Oberzone is Brazil. So
Right.
their first
I know they
time,
speak Portuguese because that's what they're always telling me is that I need to figure out how to
yeah,
translate everything to Portuguese.
yeah,
I cannot do it.
we need to
We're,
apply some money to Berlitz lessons or something like that for different languages that we're going to have to
right.
speak.
Yeah.
Um,
Rosetta Stone, you and I
we
will
need it.
become experts.
Yeah. The So their first time participating in a ggCircuit season, and they really embraced it. Almost every week they were within the top five, and like they say, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon or whatever, and just every week they were up there. The only week they slipped a little bit was the last week. They had a big lead last week, and the Ebash Indianapolis almost came back and came close to beating them. But so congratulations to them, first through fifth. Overzone, Ebash Indianapolis, PC Gamers, Elite Madrid, and then Golden Gun Gaming were in fifth. And next week we will provide some statistics, provide some prize winners, and kind of the overall prize winner of an Alienware Alpha.
Yeah, now and again, I wanted to just touch a base on a little bit of that. As the season progresses, it gets harder every week. So, the challenge goals for the centers as they go along get harder and harder. So, a brand new center the first week has a chance to really go out and dominate, but then they have to up that performance the next week and up that the next week. So, Overzone as it got to the end of the season had built up enough lead that they were able to hold on at the end. Those are part of some of the changes we're working on for next season, and we'll talk about that as kind of our next point here as we move right into winter season preview. One thing that we've worked on is this was our third season. Am I right? I think that we've done.
Yeah.
So we started winter season of last year. We did a spring season of this year. We did not do a summer season. We were busy working on different projects, and so then we came into the fall season. Excuse me, the winter season this year, we're going to shift the way we do things a little bit. We focused on a lot of prizing for random winners throughout the season, and then the center goal is always surrounding the cup. So we have a giant trophy that has the name of each of the season's winners. So the first season was XD LAN in California, and then they got shipped the trophy. It had their name on the bottom. They kept it for that season. And then Geelong, I'm not sure. Don't hate me, Mark. I'm not from down under, but they won the next season. So we shipped them the trophy. The trophy is now in Australia. This is a traveling trophy. Now it will be shipped to Overzone. We'll order the plaque to put it on there. So each of these centers' names go on this, and it moves all around the world. As center owners, that's super cool and awesome. But for players, there's really no prizing or anything tied to their performance individually for their center or as a group for their region. So when we move into the winter season, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to split the world. We're big enough now to split the world into regions. So the season will start off for the first period, probably 6 or 8 weeks. You'll be competing against your region. So the North America region, the Middle East, Europe, Australia, South America. There's enough centers in all of those areas that we can start now a region competition. Now, the other thing we'll do is we'll immediately start focusing on the players' rankings within that. So just like a lot of the games do, we will restart the statistics for the season on day one for each of those game types, and we'll track the number one League of Legends player for the Middle East throughout that 6-week period. And then there will be a prize for that player. So what we want to do is we want to get players a little more involved in what's in it for them. They do have the ability to take their dedicated time at your store and at their game and turn that into a prize at the end of that period. Then they qualify to go to the quote-unquote Worlds, and then we'll have a competition set up the last 2 weeks of the season where the World Championship will take place. And that's the same for the centers and the players. So your center will have to qualify in your region over this 8-week period. And the top, let's say, it'll probably vary the top people based on the region's participants. So I'll use Europe as an example. Europe, we have, I want to say 8 centers in Europe. So Europe may qualify 2 centers to move to the World Finals the last 2 weeks, whereas North America is closing in on 30 centers, so they may advance 6 centers into the Worlds, so that it's a ratio of the competition in that region. So it's not going to be easy for a center to get in, just because their region doesn't have as many people competing. But then what I wanted to, and JMac and I have talked about this, so your widgets that are on your site, your Facebook leaderboards that you have, the new page that we're building for ggCircuit's webpage and everything else will now focus on leaderboards for those seasons. So if you've not been involved with ggCircuit for a year, or if you've fallen behind over the course of 6 weeks or whatever, there's always going to be a reset to those leaderboards and those stats. We're not going to delete everybody's stuff. They'll still be the way you can go see your global rank for all time, but we're going to focus the drive of our system on a 10-week season. So again, get fired up, get your players fired up. We'll get everybody playing. If they have some success, they'll really drive them to finish the race. But if they don't have success, it's not like they're done and it's irrelevant for them to be a part of ggCircuit, because in 3 months we'll start another season again. So that's the biggest change that's going to be coming up this winter. The two things I would say are that the season's going to be extended from 6 weeks to 8 weeks. And then the second thing is that prizes are going to be put towards individual achievements, moving up those leaderboards for those regions in each of these areas. So we'll allow them to play challenges, we'll allow them to play tournaments, we'll allow them to just play games online. All of those things will take place in those regions so that we can have head-to-head competitions take place as well.
Okay. And the dates, tentative dates on that, we have starting at the end of November. So the ggCircuit winter season tentatively right now will start November 30th and go through February 8th, which is it's going to be an 8-week one, right?
That's a 10-week season.
10-week season.
8 weeks of it will again be regionally focused, and then the last 2 weeks will bring those regional winners into the World Championship those last 2 weeks. So again, the centers, there's still just one trophy. So there's one traveling trophy. You don't get it. You don't win North America and get the trophy. You got to win North America, and then your center has to go against everybody else, the top centers in the other regions to get that trophy. Yeah. So that, again, will be the same for players. But we'll focus some prizes on regional winners so that, again, in the Middle East now, we're up to, I think, 12 centers in the Middle East. And so we've got a couple partners there that are going to help us focus on prize distribution and delivering the prizes to those centers from within the Middle East, so that it's just not possible for us to get prizes in North America and ship them to other regions of the world. So that's, again, I'm real excited about it, because it's going to push us to do, to offer some things to other regions of the world that's not been available to this point, and also reward the people that have, it'll be more skill-based.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot more skill-based for these players to try to win prizes, and not just everything I do gets me an entry in the drawing.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last point you wanted to talk about was the leagues, the ggCircuit leagues.
Yeah, so just kind of a tag on to this again. We're going to start tentatively next week. As soon as we officially know the start date, we'll let everybody know, and we'll give you marketing materials for it. But we want to start a weekly league for all the different games that we play at our centers, not just necessarily the games that are integrated for statistics. And I'll give you my example is Wednesday night is going to be Hearthstone night, and we'll have a league running for Wednesday night that'll allow players to come every Wednesday to any center. Local rates are what you pay to get into the thing. It's free to join, but you've got to pay your local center rates to get game time. And on Wednesday night, we'll have a bracket that starts every Wednesday night for each region that has Hearthstone players. And they'll play through those brackets on a Wednesday night, and they earn 50 coins for every win in their bracket. And those coins are tracked as tournament coins, and we'll build a league and a leaderboard for Hearthstone every Wednesday night starting hopefully next week. We've already been testing this for eBash. We've ran it 4 weeks now, I think. Tomorrow will be the 5th week. And there's 5 to 7 players that come every Wednesday night for Hearthstone at eBash Indianapolis. What I want is North American centers to let their Hearthstone players know that ggCircuit's sponsoring this. You can win a lot of extra coins in it. We'll put some threshold prizes in there. If we get to 32 players or 64 players, we'll throw in some other prizing. But I really want the focus to be, more casual, earn some more coins. It's an organized event that you don't have to, know ahead of time you want to play, but that is a separate leaderboard and a separate thing that they can try for the Hearthstone players every Wednesday night. Then again, as we get more into this, we want Thursday night to be League of Legends. We want Tuesday night to be Counter-Strike. We want Sundays to be Smash Brothers. Whatever it is, we want these things to be able to spread out into other games. And ggCircuit will organize those, will plan those, will administrate those. The players just show up at the store, pay you your normal rates on a Wednesday night to play at your store, or you can give them like at eBash, we give them a $5 pass to play Hearthstone on Wednesday nights only, because that's our special Wednesday night Hearthstone night. And it's up to you guys what you want to charge. But those leagues we're going to start tentatively launching next week. We'll start one at a time. We'll work with the centers that are busiest. We want to do League of Legends on Thursdays because that's our night. I know that's Devin's night. But coordinating that with Devin and not conflicting with his local stuff, we'll have to work through some of those issues. But ggCircuit leagues, we definitely want to get those going. Those, again, will follow the season timeline. So the Hearthstone League will follow the winter season timeline. And so everybody will start at 0 the first week of December for that first Hearthstone night. We'll run some test tournaments and give out coins up until then. But that night, the leaderboard's at 0. And every match you win in the brackets on Wednesday for Hearthstone go towards your Hearthstone winter season ranking. And we'll put a prize at the end of that season for the top Hearthstone player in North America, the top Hearthstone player in Europe, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. I tell you what, every week we have this show, and I know for some people it's like probably really drab and boring, but this time just flies because we have so much good stuff to talk about because it's already quarter till and we're like halfway through.
Right.
All right, so the ggCircuit tip of the week, and we've talked a lot about this in recent times, is the local prize vault for game centers. And
this is a great springboard,
not necessarily frustrations that we've had, but we want to provide this for centers to provide to their players, and obviously we do a lot to get them involved, but the centers are the key a lot of times to push this over the top and to get more people into their stores and to help them prosper. So go ahead and touch on the local
just as a springboard again off that whole section we just talked about, the winter season and the leagues and things. That's where we want ggCircuit to provide events and prizes for those sort of things at that level. The typical customer that comes in that may or may not participate in one of these more serious events just sit down and play, and they just earn coins, and they're paying the local center for game time in the local center to earn all these coins. And it's up to the local center to provide them rewards and incentives to do that at a more rapid pace. So again, we'll go through a couple examples here in a minute, but at eBash, players are coming in and they're buying a lot of different smaller things. They're not doing an 8-week grind to try to be number one in our store to win a $20, $30, $40, $50 prize. They're coming in to play 2 or 3 or 4 days in a row to save up enough coins to try to buy a Mountain Dew or to try to buy a few extra hours of gaming. And so those things are things that every center, there's no reason I can think of that you would not want to offer some of these things at your local center. And it's a crucial part of what ggCircuit is. So it gives those coins meaning to all those players that are earning those coins on a regular basis in your store. So they're not just sitting there to be, the leaderboards are great, the stats are great, those drive a lot of people, but give them some meaning to those coins by putting prizes in there. Hours of gaming, day passes, low-cost snacks, know what your margins are on these things. Don't give away things for free. We're not asking you to do that. But you can see at any given time inside of your system how many coins an average player earns. And it's pretty standard across the board. It's between 60 and 70 coins an hour is the max players will earn at your store if they've got like all their game accounts connected. So just figure that when you want to price your items in your local store and put it way out there. I've seen centers put an hour of gaming at 5,000 coins, and I've seen centers put an hour of gaming at 500 coins. Do what's comfortable for you. You can change it at any time. You set the prices. You pick the items that go into your prize vault. and it's all under your local control. If you do not do that, and just so many centers I talk to, I feel like are waiting for ggCircuit to provide them prizes so that their players can do something with their coins. That is not the purpose of the system. The purpose of the system for us is to get a rewards and redemption program and drive people to your center and spend money at your center. So if we're driving people to your center to spend money at your center, we don't have that money to go out. There's not like magical formulas where NVIDIA showers us with 500 graphics cards to give away across the world. I mean, they're going to give us prizes for the seasons that we're doing. They're going to give us prizes for these ladders and tournaments that we're running. They're not going to give us prizes for the everyday guy that's spending $500 to $1,000 a year in your store. They're just not going to do that. You've got that money coming in. This is your chance to take and earmark some advertising and some reward money from your store and really jump that usage up in your store and give those coins meaning. It's a pretty standard business practice. If you're not already in a rewards redemption system, this is what this is perfect for. If you've thought about doing one, use it now. If you've never thought about it, you should. I mean, this is every business in the world's doing that. You go to Starbucks, you got a tracking card to every 10th coffee is free. You know, you go to the gas station, spend a bunch of money on sodas, and you get 10 cents off a gallon at the pump. You know, every business in the world has some sort of reward system now. This is the LAN Center reward system. There's no question about it. Mm-hmm. It's only as good as you make it in your centers. Right. So it's up to you. Make the move. Put some prizes in there. Start advertising it. An active center to us redeems about 2 to 4 prizes a week or more. Some of us redeem a lot more. You want to cover some of those numbers a little bit with some of these centers that we work with, J-Man?
If I had that information in front of me, maybe, but I don't.
Right. I mean,
just kind of in general, you know, a lot of these legacy centers that started with us, and even those that have worked with you directly that are recent. Right. We know that PC Gamers redeems a lot. Obviously, we know that eBash does a lot. We know that Gamers Funk does a lot. And these are centers that are redeeming double-digit prizes a day. You know, someone just questioned 2 to 4 prizes a week. You know, that's on the very low end.
That's super low, right?
The thing about them is when customers realize they can get something for the time that they spend in your store every day. Like if they play 5 or 6 hours and they can get an hour extra gaming. You know, we said it last week. It keeps them in their store longer. It makes them think about it before they go to their store. Hey, I don't have money to go to McDonald's today, but I can go pay a day pass at Golden Gun Gaming and I can get a free Coke and chips because of it or something like that. You know, maybe not as their prices probably aren't that small, but specifically newer centers that you've worked with, Overzone, Sector Gaming, Sector 1 Gaming, both international ones, but you've worked with them personally. And I think, you know, not that I want to inundate your time because it's already busy, but if you're a new center starting out with ggCircuit and you have a lot of questions, we're here to answer those questions. We're here to take a phone call and try to explain the best that we can so you're getting more and more out of your subscription.
Right. Let me touch on this for a minute because I think this is part of the problem is a lot of centers get started. They don't really know what the system's about and they let it run for a few months and their players get this big batch of coins. And then they're afraid to put these prizes in their prize vault because there's guys sitting out there with 5 or 10 or 20,000 coins because there's been nothing to spend it on. Mm-hmm. They force the customer to save it. Now, eBash has run prizes for, it'll be a year in December. We launched the prize. We had them start gaining coins in July, I think, of last year as a test. And when we had our 10-year anniversary, we launched the prize vault in December. In December, we gave away so many prizes, but it was part of our 10-year anniversary celebration. We prepared for that. Once we got through that onslaught of everybody redeeming coins for all these big prizes, these players don't save. They're not good at saving coins. They're not going to do that long term. So when you get out there, for example, I know Battle and Brew, I'm going to pick on them down in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, because they've never put a local prize in their vault. They've never received a local prize, and their players have been running it for 6 months. So a typical player, let's say these have accumulated 40,000 coins, and they're thinking to themselves, man, what am I going to put in there? This guy's just going to buy all this Mountain Dew. That guy that's earned 40,000 coins in your center at a rate of 80 coins an hour, which is the top end, like the best player ever in the world could earn about 80 coins an hour tops. That means they've spent 571 hours in that store. 571 hours in order to earn 40,000 coins. It's, I can't hold every game center's hand on how to run a business, but I can tell you right now that having a player in your center for 571 hours is either if you're letting them play free, you're going to go out of business. Hopefully you're charging them for that time, and so you've made X amount of dollars off that customer. It's time to take a fraction of that and give that back to that customer as a thank you, so that they go another 6 months and earn another 40,000 coins in your center. So whatever that number is, start the prices high. If you're worried about it, put a Mountain Dew in there for 5,000 coins and let the guys that have a ton of coins redeem stuff like that and bring their balances down until it's a more manageable prize for you. Or, I mean, if you're that worried about it, let us know. We'll reset your coins. We're not in the middle of a season right now. It's not recommended long term. Once your players are in the system and redeeming prizes, it's a no-no. You never want to reset the coins at that point. And, I could see Michael at Gamers Funk, Ryan down at Golden Gun, Devin out at PC Gamers, the thought of our players resetting their coins, there would be like a coup staged. They would storm the store, which is exactly what we want. Like those players know the value of those coins, and they can't wait to try to get a few more so that they know that maybe they can only afford to go to your store 3 days a week right now.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to do enough where they can get another day that they come to your store. That's not a bad thing, because they're in your store, they're buying your snacks and drinks while they're in there. And then they're playing enough where they're like, well, if I just bought a little more time, maybe I could come another day to your store. It's all a function of them spending money in your store to earn enough coins to get these prizes.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch over to the browser real quick, but I just want to show how to add a prize to your local vault for those that may not know how to do it or whatever. It's super simple. And what we're saying in all this stuff is once you do this, there's no reason that it has to be set in stone. It can absolutely change every day if you want to. So when you're logged into the ggCircuit admin for your center, you go to Prize Vault, and then you go to Add New button, and then you fill out the details for your prize. So this is a test prize. You don't have to put in the description if you don't want to. You don't have to put a category in. You don't have to put an image URL if you don't want to. All you have to do is have the name of it and how many coins you want it to cost. So I'm going to put in 5,000 coins. Put in your quantity. If it's an unlimited quantity like ours, leave it blank. And then for this, I'm logged in as the super admin, but as you are a center, it'll automatically pick your center as the,
it'll just add the prize for your
center. It'll just add the prize. You click save on that prize, and it automatically gets added into your prize vault. And once we get the skin going, we have a thing in there that customers can see the next prize up that they can get, or the closest prize they are to them. So that'll be kind of be a no-brainer for them. So you as the center don't have to tell them. Also, if you're running the slider in your center, it tells what a random list of prizes on the slider that your customers can look at as well. So it's a super easy process. It's just a matter of taking 5 to 10 minutes either every day or every week to add a couple of prizes in there. I'm sure that you as a center could go out and you have businesses that you've worked with before that would be happy to provide you a gift certificate every now and then that you could put in your prize vault. Or, a company like a snack company or something like that you work with that would send you stuff just to give to people that you can add in your prize vault.
Right. I think it's super key too to remember just like a business practice, you can set your prices. It's easier to lower them than it is to raise them. So start them high. If you're uncomfortable with it, start them really high. You can always lower them without any negative feedback from the customers. It's difficult to start them low and raise them up. So when you go in there, if you're not really sure how to start a Mountain Dew, how much to sell a Mountain Dew for, then put it in there for a high price and then see how many people redeem it. Or better yet, put a quantity on it. If you put a quantity of 10 on it, then you can only be burnt for 10 prizes before they're all gone and players can't earn them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The other quick thing is that they're redeemed by your staff at the front counter. We don't let players redeem their own stuff yet for technical reasons, but also so that you guys can manage that process as employees and monitor that process. And you could just choose at any given time. I mean, the players, they don't see the quantity left right now. They don't. You could just tell them, hey, I had a $25 League of Legends card. We only had 5 of them. If the one guy wants to come up and buy like 8, you could just say, sorry, it's only 1 per customer. And you just make that rule at the front counter, just like you would with anything else you sell in your store.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's it.
We try to make this stuff as flexible as possible. You guys just have to take advantage of it.
Right,
you guys, meaning center owners.
Right, and I said this to somebody the other day, and I want to say this to everybody. I apologize because we're building so much stuff so quickly. We don't have a good time to go back and write a lot of documentation and put proper walkthroughs and put them in all these different languages for these other countries. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this show, is to really, hopefully, people can watch this and realize ways that we've built the software that you can use it that we maybe have not been that clear on up to this point. So again, I apologize that we're so focused on building all the features that we're not, I don't have a staff of 5 people that can call everybody up and spend an hour walking them through this individually. So this is one of our ways, hopefully, that will reach more people through this 1-hour broadcast that's now, already at an hour.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on, and I'll kind of take over for this specific section, but
Okay.
I'm kind of excited about this because it's the first time we've ever kind of done a statistical breakdown of a player. But last week we had our first player break 200,000 coins, which was a player from Bash Brothers in Colorado. I'm switching over to the graphic. So Derek Shaver. Bash Brothers started with ggCircuit 10 months ago at the end of December, right before the new year. And over these 10 months, he has somehow grinded away to earn 200,000 coins. So, we went in and looked at his statistics and broke down a few different things. Number one, Derek Shaver is a League of Legends player. So we know right there he has earned coins not only hourly, but also through his League of Legends matches. So over time, he has pulled in, at this point, 203,000 coins in his account. And I looked at his statistics. It's not on this graphic, but I think he has about 86,000 or so left over to spend right now. So breaking this down a little bit further, his hourly coins are close to 100,000, just over 99,000, and his League of Legends coins is over 100,000. So it's almost split directly between hourly coins and League of Legends coins. And what that means to us is, as soon as this started, he linked his League of Legends account with his Bash Brothers account. Over this 10 months, he has played over 2,000 League of Legends matches and has redeemed 14 prizes from all his coins. Breaking it down time-wise from his hourly coins, that means he's played almost 2,000 hours at Bash Brothers and has played a total of, breaking that down 24 hours into the hours played, almost 83 days in the 10 months at Bash Brothers Gaming Cave. So I think, I'm pretty sure that after a while that he's been there day after day, over the last couple of months they decided to make him an employee, because I'm not seeing him as much on the leaderboards as I used to. But again, just breaking this upper echelon.
Maybe he bought that. Did he buy employment with his
he
points?
Bought it.
Is that
right? 6 months of employment for 100,000 coins.
Yeah, you can then work for them. That might be a hey, just put that in the back of your mind as an option.
Right, and so some of these centers can see, from a ggCircuit standpoint, he's an upper echelon player because he's earned a lot of coins. You can see his League of Legends coins are higher than his hourly coins because he gets over 50 coins per match playing League of Legends. That's why his coins are higher than his hourly coins. But from an upper echelon ggCircuit gamer, he earns about 102 coins per hour. So that's one of those statistics where you could say, well, this player's high on my leaderboards, so I need to keep in mind when I'm pricing my prizes of his hourly
Hey, that's
earnings
a good idea,
per
JMac. For
coin.
next week's show, let's pull like the top 10 players that coins per hour in the whole
Okay.
world. And
Okay.
that way we can honestly say, like, legitimately, if you're worried about putting your local prizes in the vault, like, here is the worst case scenario. Now, I don't want people to price their stuff necessarily on that, because that's not an average gamer.
Right.
We have the average gamer statistics for every center. If you go to the ggCircuit webpage, you go to locations, you click on your center, you can see your profile, you can see what the average coins per gamer is for your store.
Right.
That's what you want to base your prices on. But if you're worried about a big prize that might cost you a lot, look at the world leaders in coins per hour. Derek's got to be one of them at 102 coins per hour over a 10-month period.
Sure.
And again, from a customer standpoint, how much has, let's pretend for a minute he didn't become an employee in the middle of that process. Let's assume that he spends an average, even with discounts, at $1 an hour, at Bash Brothers Gaming Cave. $1 an hour, and he's played over 2,000 hours, right, at that center.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, that means for his game time, he would have spent over $2,000 with Bash Brothers Gaming Cave over a 10-month period. I mean, that's $200 a month average he spent, and that's if he's paying $1 an hour. So, those guys deserve a reward of some kind. Like, that's a dedicated, and I guess Bash Brothers said, hey, we're going to hire you.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that was intentional. I think that it was, he's a good guy that's been around the center a lot, and they've gotten to know him, and, that's probably why they hired him. But, you want to reward these customers with something for being so dedicated.
Sure, and just another point to doing this is so that center owners can kind of see the type of stuff that we can pull that may or may not be on the website or may or not be on the user profile, that kind of stuff. I mean, this is real critical stuff for center owners to know as well as these gaming companies that we're reaching out to, developers and whatnot, and saying, hey, we have all of these gamers that are playing your game, and here's how many games they are playing in our centers. That's a huge positive data amount for them to know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Let's go into the winners.
New
the new centers.
New centers this week. Monkey Gaming Center from Arequipa, Peru. I hope I'm saying that correct. I'm a big branding.
I love their logo.
I'm a big branding guy. I love their logo.
Oh yeah. Oh.
They're right up there with Game City in Sweden.
And Flamingo Billiards. That's another one of my favorites. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah. Flamingo Billiards from the United Arab Emirates. And then finally, our winners from week 5. And again, we said next week we'll be pulling week 6 winners as well as the big time winner for the fall season is Raven from Galaxy Gaming. We had about over 300,000 entries for week 5, and Raven had 820 coins, 820 entries for that week. He won a Chroma keyboard, and then
from Galaxy Gaming.
From Galaxy Gaming.
You said that, did you? Okay.
I did. And then from Elite Sevilla in Madrid, Elite Gaming. They've got 2 stores in Spain. Elite Sevilla, Limbo Plan B with 289 coins. Again, anybody that participates can win. So we'll be sending a headset over to Spain for him, and and that's it for the week. So until next week, we will see you next time. Have a great week in ggCircuit land.
Yep. See you next week. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.